Hello, Ursuline family. This is John DeSantis, Athletic Director at Ursuline High School. I wanted to take an opportunity today to speak with you regarding the Restart Action Plan that we have put together here in conjunction with the Diocese of Youngstown, as well as the Ohio High School Athletic Association. So we are taking into consideration a lot of things, and there are a lot of changes and new things that you'll see. So I wanted to, like I said, take a moment and just kind of talk through some of those things with you here today. Just to recap a little bit about what's been happening over the last couple of months regarding high school sports. As most of you know, in March of this year, the OHSAA came down with a no contact regulation that they initially extended through May. And what a no contact regulation basically says is that coaches are not allowed to have practices, they're not allowed to promote big group activities, and they did this as a result of the cancellations of school. So moving into April, spring sports were canceled. The OHSAA extended the no contact period through May 31st. So we went from May 1st through May 31st. And then moving into May, we started to see the reopening of gyms and in workout facilities, as well as low and non-contact sports. And as a result, then the OHSAA stated that as of May 26th, the no contact regulations would be lifted for all high school sports in Ohio. So basically they said then at that point, schools at their own discretion could begin reopening and sports teams could start training again, as long as they're following the mandated guidelines and restrictions from the OHSAA and the local school district. And so that's exactly where we are now. That's what we're getting ready to do. So you will start to see that Ursuline Athletics will begin reopening as of June 1st. That doesn't necessarily mean that your kid's sport will begin on June 1st, but as of June 1st, we are allowing that to start happening. We wanted to make sure that we had the safety protocols and that we took the safety measures into consideration before we allowed these sports to begin reopening. So if you haven't heard from your coaches yet, expect to hear communication here, especially from the fall sports coaches, on times and dates of when training will start to begin. Now, it is really important that everybody understands practices in June and July are voluntary. They are not mandatory. It will not be held against your child if you choose not to send him or her to practice during June and July. We understand everybody has a different belief of the severity and of the nature of what's going on. So we want to make sure that you as the parents are aware that these practices in June and July are voluntary, and it's not going to be held against your child if they are not there. So we've done a lot of things here at the school to make sure that we are providing the safest environment that we possibly can. So there are sanitizing and disinfectant products that have been installed and provided in all athletic facilities here on campus. Teams have been provided with thermometers and sanitizers, as well as the sanitizing equipment. And all of our new guidelines and protocols for safely restarting programs have been rolled out to coaches over the past week. So there are a lot of changes that are going to be happening. We wanted to make sure that we communicated these changes with coaches, these regulations with our coaches before we began restarting our athletic programs. So those things have been done. And these are some of the things that you can expect to see, your child can expect to see as we restart these programs. During our training, especially through June, we will be maintaining the social distancing even while we're practicing. So there will be areas designated in the gym. There are areas designated on the field where students will be able to train in small groups of no more than 10 while maintaining social distancing. Masks, we are asking that your child wears a mask upon arriving to the facility and upon leaving the facility. Coaches will be wearing masks throughout, especially when they're in close proximity to other individuals. We will be providing time and opportunities for to take sanitizing measures, both of the equipment and of ourselves. So there will be time at the beginning, in the middle, throughout, and after practice where your child will be sanitizing their hands, where coaches will be sanitizing the equipment. There will be pre-workout screening that takes place for every individual who is involved in athletics upon arriving to the facility. So we'll get into that a little bit more here in a little bit, but there will be pre-workout screenings that do take place. The entrances and exits will be designated in certain areas. We want one way in, one way out, so that we're not crossing paths and we're not exposing each other more frequently than necessary. You'll notice that the teams have staggered start and end times, and your coaches will get into more detail as far as what that looks like. But basically, we're doing that so that we can limit the amount of people who are around each other for this time, for the foreseeable future. And then one of the guidelines that the OHSAA is recommending is that vulnerable individuals, and they define that as people with pre-existing medical conditions who are receiving treatment, diabetes, and asthma. And if you have questions on that, you can talk to your coach or to me about it if your child falls in that category. But they're asking the vulnerable individuals are not participating in these early stages of training as we're just beginning the opening process. So that's something that we can talk about individually on an individual basis based on each player. So we will be beginning in small groups, and we'll slowly work to larger groups as the summer wears on with less restrictions, so long as things progress without setbacks. Okay, so look at this. We're looking at this as a 3-phase process. Okay, so we're starting in phase 1 with the social distancing, mask, sanitizing, screening, parking according to the location of your practice, eliminating crossing paths the best that we can, and groups of up to 10 people at a time. So that's phase 1. As we work into phase 2 and into phase 3, we'll start to see bigger groups and more things being allowed throughout. Parents, there is some information that is really important for you to know and understand and be familiar with. So first thing are those pre-workout screenings that I mentioned prior. All students and coaches will receive a daily symptom check before being permitted to participate in any Ursuline athletic activity. These screenings include temperature checks and basically a questionnaire of checking for different symptoms like cough, sore throat, shortness of breath, and so on. Parents, you will be contacted if your child does have any of these symptoms that we mentioned. And if they do exhibit symptoms during the training session or upon arrival to the training session, he or she will be dismissed from practice immediately, and you will be notified. The only way he or she can come back to practice is with a signed doctor's release. Again, this is for the safety of your child and everybody else's child, as well as the coaches and everybody else's family. So again, we're taking this very seriously, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep everybody as safe as possible. The facilities. Parents, you may bring your child to practice and wait for your child to be done, but we ask that you remain in your own vehicle. We are not allowing parents to enter the facility for any reason. Also, it's important to understand that locker rooms will not be available during this phase 1 process, at least for anybody. So the locker rooms will be closed. So please encourage your child to leave any personal belongings at home or in your car with you or in their car locked up, because again, we won't have a location to store those properly. There also will be no water availability here at the school. So there will be no water fountains, there will be no water troughs that we're used to on the practice fields. There won't be those big Gatorade tubs of water. So again, please bring your own water bottle, and please, please, please do not allow your child, help us tell your child not to share with other people. Forms. So as we do every year, there are several forms that parents are required to fill out in order for their child to participate. There is a new one this year, that is the consent and waiver form that is being pushed out to you. We are going to have that on the Ursuline website as well for you to access. So that is the only new one here. The other ones that you're looking at are the OHSAA eligibility and authorization statement form, the Department of Health concussion information form, and the sudden cardiac arrest parent and athlete form. These are things that have traditionally been a part of the physical packet that you've received. Those are all forms that you've seen before. And again, those are on the Ursuline website. If you go to ursuline.com, you click on athletics. If you click on the link for physical form, the forms listed, those last 3 forms that are listed here are all available there. So that's predominantly for incoming freshmen, as we have these, as you may be the only ones who haven't filled this out to this point yet. Students. So this portion here is for students. This is going to kind of reiterate some of the things that we just talked to parents about. Students will receive daily pre-workout screening prior to being permitted. If you're experiencing any symptoms, you're going to be asked to leave. Your parent will be notified, and you can only come back to practice as long as a doctor signs off saying that you are released to play. I ask students who are driving and parents who are driving their student to Ursuline, park according to the location of your practice. So if you're practicing behind the school on Bryson, park in the Bryson parking lot. If you're practicing in the gym, it would make sense to then park in the WIC parking lot. Again, this is basically to make sure that we're separating groups the best we can so that we're not crossing paths with people who are outside of our group for the time being. During our training, students, your coaches have been advised they will be promoting social distance with you. They will be designating areas for you to make sure that we have the proper distance between each person, but take some ownership of that as well and make sure that when we're moving from place to place that we are maintaining at least 6 feet of separation. We ask that you wear masks when arriving and departing from Ursuline. Again, doing everything we can to make sure that you are safe. Just to repeat, students, you will not be able to be permitted to use the locker room, so leave your stuff at home if at all possible. Anything that's not necessary for your workout, just leave it at home. This includes phones. Coaches have phones. If there is an emergency, we will have our phones on us. Obviously, if you have to bring your cleats to practice, you can come in your tennis shoes, change into cleats, and you can store those on the field or in the gymnasium as long as we are, again, maintaining that social distancing. But again, don't bring extra things with you. Make sure that what you have is what you need to work out. Water fountains and drinking stations will not be available. So again, bring your water from home. Bring your own water bottles. Hydration at home is more important now than ever, leading up to practice and after practice, so that, again, you are hydrated when you get here. You can bring your own water to maintain that. And then when you leave here, make sure that you're hydrating after practice and then the next morning, all day leading up to your practice. So these are some of the things that we're looking at for coaches, okay? The coaches will be responsible in conjunction with our team trainer to conduct the pre-workout screening. Coaches have to go through this as well. They have to be screened as well. And if they demonstrate any of the symptoms, they also, must leave the facility as well. Coaches will remain with their group, okay? So we talked about these small groups. Coaches will remain with their group throughout the entire workout. Coaches will be responsible for ensuring and maintaining social distance and making sure that the students are maintaining social distance as well. Coaches will be wearing a mask, especially when they're in close proximity to other individuals. And coaches will also make sure that one area is clear of students and cleaned before a new group of students show up to that particular location. Coaches are going to document the pre-workout screenings. They're going to document a cleaning log, cleaning records. and daily rosters. These will all be documented and filed in the athletic department office throughout. Again, students will be dismissed immediately if he or she exhibits symptoms during the session. This is for coaches, just making sure they understand that, and that we will be notifying parents, and that students will return to practice upon release of note. Coaches will be required to do all the setup of the equipment. So nets, cones, bags, whatever it is that they're using for their training sessions, coaches will set those up. We will clean those over before, during, and after practice, and we'll make sure that everything that we're using is sanitized properly. So basically the key ideas here that we all need to take away. Number one, first and foremost, if you don't feel good, please stay home. We understand we've all come from the upbringing of, if you can make it to work, you go to work. If you can get to practice, you need to be at practice. But now more than ever, we totally understand. If you are sick, stay home. If you're demonstrating any symptoms, stay home. If you come here with those symptoms, obviously you're going to be asked to leave, but you're also taking the chance of exposing others to that. And again, we're trying our best to make sure that we're not doing that. Wash your hands frequently at home, at the facility. Bathrooms will be open. Students will only be permitted to use bathrooms one at a time, but we will have plenty of opportunities for hand sanitizing and washing our hands, again, before, during, and after practice as well. Again, leave your belongings in the car or at home, as there is no availability for lockers. You're bringing your own water. For anybody who thinks that they may be able to use the Gatorade pop machines that are in the cafeteria, those are out of order as well. So again, bring something from home. Don't plan on just going to the vending machine when you get here, because we won't have access to those. The only location that we will have access to in the school itself is actually the gymnasium and the bathrooms in the lobby. So don't plan on going anywhere else in the building if your practice is in the building. If you have any questions, obviously, communicate with your coaches. If they can't answer your question, if they don't know the answer, please feel free to call me, email me about it, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that you have peace of mind and that your questions are being answered. Changing the subject a little bit, parents, just wanted to give you a heads up, some things to keep on your radar. The OHSAA requires us every year to have preseason parent meetings. So the fall sports parent meeting will be upcoming in some capacity. As we go through the summer, if we are allowed to have big groups at the school, we will have an in-person parent meeting that I will conduct. If not, we will do it through a Zoom fashion where we will push out the link to you, and you'll be able to log in and go through the meeting virtually. We have every year provided physicals here at the school, typically at the end of May or the beginning of June. Obviously, we don't have the ability to do that right now, but we will be providing a free physical service for Ursuline students in July. We are working with Mercy Health right now to nail down the times and dates and what this will look like. But again, we are planning this in July, and we will communicate with you when we have that sealed up completely. It's important to note also there is a new physical form this year. The ones that we've used for quite some time now, the OHSAA is saying are no good anymore. They have come out with a new form for the 2020-2021 school year. You can access that at ursuline.com. Click on athletics. There's a link for physical form there as well. We will have copies of those if we need to. Coaches will be able to get those to your students as well. I'm preferring that you print it offline. Again, just limiting the amount of things that are changing hands. So that is there if you are planning on taking your child to your primary care physician. We will be asking that you bring those when we do have the physical in July as well, signed and dated and completed. So couple things for you to look forward to there. Again, this is a lot of information. We're doing the best we can, everything we can to make sure that we're maintaining the safest environment that we can for your students, for your families, for our coaches. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. My contact information is listed here, 330-744-4563, extension 121. That's my office. You can send me an email, jdesantis@youngstowndiocese.org, or find me on Twitter at UHS_athletics1. And again, you can reach out anytime, any way you can. We will get back to you very promptly and answer your questions the best that we can. I hope everybody is safe. I wish you all the best. I can't wait to see you all again soon. Go Irish. Soli Deo Gloria.